All right, good to see everybody. Good morning. Got a great matchup this week with Iowa State, a team that's had a lot of success against the Sooners. Had a great win last week against Oklahoma State, and they played really, really well on both sides of the ball. Quarterback Rocco Becht had a terrific game, passed for 350 yards and 0 interceptions. In a really good game, and obviously Iowa State's 2-2 coming in on the year. And, had a game against Iowa a couple of weeks ago that went down to the last possession of the game and came up short 20-13 and lost a tough game at Ohio, a game which they were missing their best receiver. And again, defensively, they're playing really, really well again. On defense, number one in the Big 12 in total defense, and have been the standard on defense the last 5 years or so here in the conference, in the Big 12 conference. They do a fantastic job, Coach Heacock and his staff, on defense. And I've been really impressed with what I've seen from their football team. Certainly considering some of the off the field issues that they've been going through. They've done, much better than probably a lot of people anticipated. And they're getting better each week. No surprise, Coach Campbell and his staff have done a fantastic job, since he's been there. And as we know, the last 3 times that Iowa State's come to Norman against some pretty good teams in 17, 19, and 21, they've had a lot of success, and they 1-2 in those games. But the scoreboard total for both sides of the ball is 101 for Oklahoma and 100 for Iowa State. So they'll have great confidence as it'll be a disciplined, tough, physical football team, and going to be, again, a good challenge for us this week.
We'll start with Ryan Aber.
Yeah, Brent, I want to ask you about the running back rotation. How do you balance the way that things have played out over the last 3 weeks with trying to get guys into rhythm, and how important do you feel like, is it important for running backs to find a rhythm?
I think it can be. I think it's hard to play 4 running backs in the course of a game, and then I think some of it is, I don't think it's, we run an RPO-based offense, so you have several runs that, heck, the numbers might have been there, the precision might have been there, but we pulled it out because maybe the numbers were good outside as well. So, sometimes I think you want to be efficient, and we got to, as I said last night, my coach's show, we need to be a little more detailed. Guy here and there, it doesn't take but just one guy not doing his job or being not as detailed as we need to be, and everything can go to heck quickly. And Cincinnati was a really good front, and they had did some good things schematically, and they're really, it's a really good physical group of guys, and but we got to be a little more precise and detailed. And so, again, DeMarco does a great job at evaluating those guys through the course of the week and who's practicing the best, and so that's how we make a lot of those decisions.
So the sort of 2-on, 2-off system we've sort of seen the last few weeks.
I don't know.
Been sort of
What was it last year?
Well, it's
Eric Gary had established himself.
Yeah,
so we'd love for somebody to establish themselves. That hasn't happened yet.
Mm-hmm. Brent, you mentioned John Heacock and that Iowa State defense. I know when you were at Clemson, you went and visited Iowa State. What do you maybe remember about that, and did you take anything, if anything, and implement that at all, what you're doing defensively?
Well, it was, affirmation that they do a great job at developing and teaching and scheming. Their players play with great effort and toughness and belief. They're very thorough as a staff, and there's a lot of cohesion there inside that building, and they've developed a great culture. Those are the things that have stood out to me, and they built something from a systematic standpoint, philosophy standpoint, scheme standpoint that has had longevity, in the conference.
They run that 3-5 type defense, and we've seen you guys run that occasionally here and there. Have you seen that defense maybe change the way the game's being played and way offenses and maybe catching up defensively in terms of that?
I think there's ebbs and flows. They get into four-man fronts a decent amount too, and so out of the same personnel. So that's their package, but they have a lot of scheme versatility to what they can do. I don't know if teams catch up or not. I don't. I think in the structurally, there's some things that are. People like to say, well, they just got three guys up there. Well, let's go, pound them. And that's true if you got the guys that can do that and the schemes that allow you to do that, potentially, But I've seen the schemes work pretty good at a high level against really good people, too. So I've seen the scheme get obliterated like every other scheme, over the years. So the scheme's no good if the players are executing it and playing with aggression and physicality and fundamentals, and that's what they do. They do a really good job of doing all those things. Mm-hmm.
Ryan on the far right.
You're in a stretch of playing against really well-coached defensive lines, Cincinnati and Iowa State. For the running game, what kind of opportunity does that give for those guys up front, your offensive line, to get into a rhythm and kind of correct some of the little things and tighten that up as you build through?
Well, again, it's a different scheme in some ways at times. So getting into a rhythm. I mean, I don't know if this provides that opportunity. I mean, every week is a season of its own, and every scheme that you play against has different. A different type of focus, but at the end of the day, you still want to, again, come off the ball and know who to target and move people. This is still a game of leverage and inertia and physicality and precision. And so, we've had, good game control, what I like, through 4 games. And we've had very few drives that that guys were just right on and right off the field. Some of it's been 3 and out, but some of it, the 3 and outs might look different at times this year. So when we have had those, which hasn't been a lot, but obviously any offense strives for balance, and we want, again, more efficiency with what we're doing in regards to the running game.
Come over here to James. Your question.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian, Dylan, the starting quarterback at OU, is probably always a lightning rod in a certain extent, but how well do you feel like he played Saturday, and how well do you feel like he's playing this year?
He played good. He played well. He managed things well, made good decisions, led with toughness, played with some toughness. He had several +1 run game that went for positive yards, and played well. And does that mean he played perfect? Nobody that got on the plane played perfectly, and that's never expected. But he did a lot that was fantastic in the game, and gave us a chance to win.
Eli.
Brent, with Savion, tell us a bit more about what he's been dealing with, and if he's going to be in the mix these next few weeks or this week.
Yeah, he's back.
And on the defense, Tassan obviously got his highest snap count in live action. When you went back and watched the tape, is there anything in particular, a given play or not, where he looked more or less like the quintessential guy you want in that role?
Yeah, I mean, he's missed a couple weeks, so he's a guy that's coming out of spring that really had a really good spring and a good finish, and had an excellent summer. First part of camp was great. I saw that he hadn't played in a little while, and so he'll be the first one to tell you kind of getting back into the rhythm of what that looks like and what that process is. But he did a nice job, and I expect him to make, improvement each and every week, that he plays.
Yeah, Brent, after the Tulsa game, you said you had leadership last year, just not enough of it. So what's the process been like seeing guys like Isaiah Coe, Marcus Major sort of, become more vocal and become those guys that you really need them to be?
I think it starts with their ability to lead themselves. And that's just a maturation. That's just becoming more mature. Your perspective maybe changes. Sense of urgency maybe changes. Maximizing, their opportunities, but learning the value of leading themselves first, and then willing to be led, and then 3, becoming a leader too, and all in their own ways. So it's hard to, quantify it as much as, I think you alluded to, being a little more vocal in a particular huddle or in a meeting room, at practice, things of that nature. That comes with the confidence, learning again how to lead, but it starts with themselves. Believing in themselves, looking at themselves as a leader, somebody that's invested. I think that's important. When you've invested as much as each of those guys have, I think you have some ownership not only in your work but in the program and for the opportunities that we have as a football team. So been proud of them, the way they've grown, and their commitment and the care for their teammates and their opportunity in this football team.
Hey, Brent, you guys are 11th in third down defense so far. I know it's early in the season, but maybe what do you attribute that early success to, and maybe what are you seeing different this year compared to last year?
Again, knowledge. Guys that returning, we're more knowledgeable, so we're more confident, and so we're more aggressive within the scheme, a little more precise in the scheme because of the knowledge. So our ability to execute with a little more precision is there. As we said, we improved our strength and our speed and our explosiveness with players that are on the roster, and then players that we recruited also have added to that mix, and same things applies to them. Where they're at when they got here. Several of them got here in January, so a few guys got here in the summer. So it's a credit to them, the work that they've put in and over the last several months. And then again, cohesion, chemistry, leadership. Again, guys have invested a lot of time, so it's not just one thing. It's not just a couple of things. It's about everything. And that's the third down area is a byproduct of, again, the small incremental improvement in a lot of areas. Mm-hmm.
Brent, you familiar with the way that Notre Dame-Ohio State game ended Saturday night?
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you use that? I know coaches are always looking at teaching tools, right, or opportunities to reinforce some things. Did you use what happened in Notre Dame?
Just with myself.
Huh?
Just with myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did that look?
I mean, we all talked about it as coaches. And really, the players, you would think, and I don't want to probably talk about it, but I mean, it's like note to self: make sure you don't assume anything. I say it. It's enough. Your gut hurts. Really, I'll be honest, because that's not the way you wanna. And that did affect. Certainly the second play, without question. But I sat there and watched it live, and my wife sitting there, and my father and mother-in-laws, and I'm like, they don't have enough guys. I said, they got a problem on that right side. And sure enough, that's Captain Obviously. He ran the zone right there. But yeah, you feel bad, for him, because that was an incredibly well-played game, tough, physical. That was a fabulous football game. I admired both defenses, the quarterbacks. It was a great game.
And Marcus handled it great. He did what any head coach would. It's on me, right? But Is that what a head coach is left to do in a situation like that, or does he got to go back to the staff and say, guys, you've got to be my eyes?
I think it's everybody. Yeah, everybody has to have ownership in that, no doubt. Head coach ultimately takes responsibility for everything that's out there 100%, as he should. But everybody has ownership. Somebody somewhere. And anyway, I get myself in trouble talking about it, but sounds easy, but and it should be better and easier than that. But
Thanks.
Okay, second round and then Curtis.
Hey, Brent, you mentioned Beck, their quarterback. What did you see out of him? What kind of problems will he pose for your defense?
yeah, I like him a lot. Just he's instinctive. He's athletic. He's confident. Throws the ball well on the run. Seems to be a good leader. Likes to play. You can see the emotion without being overly dramatic, but you see a personality there. Team follows him, and he's consistent. Maybe a little more consistent than what they were at quarterback a year ago, is what I've seen. And they're playing, again, he's just gotten better each week and more comfortable. Again, the Ohio game, he did not have his best receiver, and I'm sure that affected him a little bit. But they do a great job with their backs. Backs run tough. Their overall numbers aren't eye-popping, but they run really hard. They're tough to tackle. Tight ends are big, long. They got athletic guys. They got big guys. They do a variety of personnel groups. And the receiver, Noel, is a really good player. They're getting him the ball lots of different ways. A year ago, the last couple of years, they had a receiver that was tops in the conference as far as receiving. So they know what they're doing, how to isolate a guy and give him a lot of opportunity when they get a good one, and they certainly have that, in 13. So, but Beck he was a national freshman of the week last week, and again, that they haven't had many 300-plus yard passers, and he really played well last week. 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, and just making a lot of good decisions. Completing roughly 65+% of his passes. So he's doing a nice job.
Okay, behind Curtis, go to Eric.
Brent, when there's competitive depth, it means players who are used to playing a lot, maybe not playing as much. How special is it for a football player to accept a new role? Maybe if you're a defensive player who played a lot of snaps last year, or maybe a running back just not getting as many carries as they expected.
So what was the question?
How special is it for a player to accept that new role that they're not playing?
Well, I think it's critical to have the right kind of locker room, and that's not an easy thing. Again, I don't take that for granted. I think lots of communication is important. That's why, again, I like playing more guys because everybody likes to play, and even if it's just a little bit, and that sometimes that's easier said than done. I get it at certain positions. But for us to be the kind of program that we want, I want to promote, everybody valuing the role that they have and making the most of it, and being a good teammate. I think is important. Having a selfless, committed football team that's going to celebrate each other's success and ultimately want the team to be successful is critical. And again, cohesion and chemistry and building trust with one another. I think it's really important. So we got to do a great job of not taking that for granted as a staff. And again, I think giving guys their opportunity when they deserve to play. Sometimes it's 90-10, sometimes it's 50-50. And but if it's 90-10, they need to play their 10. I think that's important. So we, by middle of the year to November, you got a locker room that, you got really good team morale, because it, like I've said all along, it doesn't get easier as the season goes on. It gets harder because, guys get bored, they get distracted, they lose vision, and, boredom is probably the greatest threat to all of your success. And but for us to be successful, you have to go through a boring routine every week, where most of it's the same. the leader's got to do a good job. Myself's got to do a good job of keeping things fresh and fun, whatever that means. I think that's important, in the big picture too. But I want to celebrate, their success. I think that's important, that when everybody wants to be affirmed in whatever role that they have, and they want to be recognized. So that's all part of all of that too, nurturing the competition, and where guys are sharing a role.
How much easier is year 2 of the buy-in compared to year 1?
It's I don't know if there was. It's hard to explain. I don't know if it's. I think there's just more guys that are bought in. I think it's a higher percentage, and when I say bought in, I don't. If you're not bought in, it's not like we had a bunch of bad guys by any stretch, but doing everything that we ask you to do is being bought in. And then that's on the field, that's off the field, that's in the classroom, that's in the community, that's on the practice field, that's in the weight room, that's in nutrition. It's, just having a good attitude and bringing value, your attitude and your effort, your choice, your decision, something that should never be conditional. And I would just say that, there's more guys that are bought into that, as much as anything, and they value their opportunity. Practices have been more productive because we have more competition, and more guys understand, how, practice should be run, and the competitive strain and toughness that it takes, and all of our routines too. There's a much more of a comfort zone in everything year 2 in all of our different areas, on the field, off the field, and in our development, things of that nature. We've got more guys that show up here for, we have food for them on Sunday, that you would think, they'd be lined up all the way up and down Jenkins, but a year ago on Sundays they weren't, and not to the depth that we have this year. So to me, that says that guys are being a little more ambitious and going through a normal routine, treatment, food, film, recovery, school, everything falls into place, and that's a very small thing, but it's a big thing. There's a cumulative effect to everything.
Way back left, John Hoover.
Yeah, Brent, we've seen some obvious improvements across the defense from last year to this year, and certainly over the last decade or so. You guys are playing at a pretty good level right now comparatively. How close are you, do you think, playing at the level that you have in your mind for what this defense should look like?
We've...
And what's next? What are some of the next steps?
I think, we got a long ways to go. We're, again, I have great appreciation and respect for the improvement that our guys have made, which we've been talking about for some time now, that we have seen the improvement. But again, they'll be the first ones to tell you if they stood up here, okay, hey, this is there's evidence that there has been some improvement, but nowhere close to a finished product. And that's hard to quantify for, I let the tell of a season, the whole season. Let's see where we're at the end of the year. I think that will be a little more accurate to where, okay, hopefully at the end of the year we've continued to make strides and improved individually and collectively. That's the expectation. That's the vision. That's the game plan. Will our guys continue to keep their head down and stay focused and driven and hungry and humble? That's part of it that we don't know. And that story of the transformation is going to constantly it's going to be ongoing. And but there has been some improvement made. To what degree, I don't know, but it's good and can be a lot better. And that's in every way. It's tackling, it's covering, it's zone, it's man, it's precision and timing, it's alignment, it's eyes, it's pad level, it's physicality, it's consistency, all of those things. It's red zone, it's third down, it's fourth down, it's P and 10. We had several mistakes. And I don't want to sit here and make it a negative thing and be, well, he's just going to say that. That's not how I am. But I know what my trained eyes tell me too. But it doesn't matter if I feel this way and the players feel something totally different. But I'll be the first one to affirm them, celebrate the small successes that we've had. They deserve that. They've worked incredibly hard. Our coaches have, the players have, but we've, again, big picture. We've accomplished nothing but getting better, and that should happen. This is a developmental game. The more you play, the better you should get. And so don't want to downplay it, but man, we're going to have a lot stiffer tests along the way. And again, I got long-term vision of what we need to do to have an elite, consistent defense. And we got work to do, but we are certainly moving in the right direction. Yep.
Back to the right side, second row, Mason.
Brent, Woody Washington, just his leadership and consistency, how much has that meant to bringing along in the development of the other corners that are getting time right now?
Yeah, an amazing example. Woody is just a first-class human being, first of all, just a great person, just a great young man. It's about all the right stuff. Excellent student, incredibly humble and respectful, great leader. He loves his teammates. In every circle, Woody's popular in the locker room, and not because he's cool with everybody. It's because of who he is as a person, as a leader, as a human being, as a competitor, as a teammate. Jealousy is not part of the character of Woody Washington, but he is the model of consistency. He's, he looks himself in the mirror every day, has great self-awareness, knows where he needs to get better, but he's been a great mentor for all the youth that's at that position. How you work every day, again, just how you take notes, how you let the coach you, how you take responsibility when things need to be better, and that's not easy for anybody. It's not easy for a head coach. I screwed that one up. But that's part of it. Being a mature leader, and really proud and thankful, for Woody.
Okay, way back on the right, Chris Williams.
Yeah, Coach, why weren't Gavin Sawchuk and Javante Barnes in the mix on Saturday?
Just week of practice.
Do you know if that'll be the case again this week, or it's too soon to tell?
We just had Monday non-contact practice, so I don't. DeMarco's going to evaluate that, how they practice, and so.
Third row, middle, Ed.
Coach, I'd like to follow up with this question. Accepting there's a long way to go, how does it impact your defense the way you finish it? Like the second, it's still a game if they score a touchdown. Second and 2, you stuff them. Third and 2, you stuff them. Fourth and 2, turnover, offense goes down, scores. You come back, intercept, game's over. Moving forward, what does that kind of a performance in that situation do for the defense going forward?
Yeah, I think it affirms what you've been asking them to do and what it takes, how you got to show up every day and know how to go to the meeting. If we had a few young guys that were sitting up here right now, they would tell you, I'll stop the meeting several times if we don't have the right focus in the meeting. If I don't feel like you're 100% locked in. If it's coming out of the mouth, if we're watching it on the screen, we don't get to go back and just do it again. We don't have an opportunity to teach you and learn. Every single moment that we're in here matters. And I want our guys to have that sense of desperation, that sense of urgency, that mindset that somebody's trying to drown you. You're like literally fighting for your football life every moment. And I think it takes that kind of focus to be great. and I just do. And, you know, we've got plenty of guys that are blessed with talent, but talent's no good without all the other stuff. And knowledge is important. And so we're constantly trying to, you know, challenge our guys to grow mentally. Being great students of the game is a culture. It's every meeting room in the country is not the same, I believe. And we have an opportunity there to, again, incrementally over a period of time, develop an environment where this is a critical part of my development. And the coach can either fumble or he can score every day, and I believe that. And but the players have to buy into that, and so learning how to do that is important. And, you know, just as a group, we were not very good at that. However long we started meeting ago, we've made a great improvement. But the reason I bring that up, I think it starts there. The improvement that they'll see in themselves on the field only justifies all the hard work and the things that we're talking about, the small details, things that maybe we didn't do well in the game. As I told you, this is going to happen. All right, now let's not make that mistake again. And here's how we're going to do that. And here's what, again, if you put mistake on the tape, you know, on the field a week ago, it's going to be professional courtesy that little screen and go play that they ran. Well, you know, we're going to run it all week. You know, hopefully we'll get a little better at it, because that's going to show up again. You know, until we show, you know, that we can, you know, do things in a disciplined way. But I think discipline is where it all starts for me. And discipline in the mindset, discipline on how I show up to that meeting room, how I walk through that building every day. Me, and I'm saying I'm talking about the players too, the coaches, the player, the staff. How you walk through that building every day, how you show up to that team meeting is a sign of respect and value that you have for your teammates, for the team, and for your own opportunity. And so you should come prepared and be ready to stay. Again, that doesn't mean it has to be. Doesn't mean it doesn't have to be fun, but chasing excellence should be fun, man. And if you love what you're doing, you know, it is fun, even though it's hard. And I want our guys to like embrace that, like enjoy that, and learn just how you be a disciplined, excellent, you know, person working on a craft. Because I think those same intangibles will help separate them, you know, when they leave the game of football, because that day's coming too. And the focus, the detail, the precision, the consistency, the mindset, the figuring stuff out, and empowering themselves and equipping themselves with tools that help them dominate on the field, but dominate off the field as well. But having some success last week, or having success through 4 games, or seeing a guy like Key Lawrence just grow up right before your eyes. And Key, you know, if anybody's had conversation with Key 2 years ago, you'd say, man, what a neat guy. But he'll be the first to tell you that there were always these seeds of doubt. Key was a guy that just kind of always worried about, you know, the externals, things that he can't control, you know, other people, environment, and what you might be thinking about him, and instead of just focus on himself and focus on his opportunity and having great self-awareness. I got to get better. And that's not an easy thing to do for a lot of young guys, because they've always been the guy. But the margin for error shrinks when you get to college, and it shrinks when you play better people. And he's just had an amazing transformation, I would say probably since the start of, you know, in January, the end of the season. And I'm really, really proud of him. But it's also, it's another reminder for all of us that 4th year, that 5th year, that 6th year player, usually they have their best years of football on the back end, not on the front end. And every once in a while, a guy like an Adrian Peterson or a Sam Bradford after a redshirt year will just like play at an amazing level. Those are unicorns. And but most people, most competitors, most players aren't like that. There's a developmental process, and it's mind, body, and spirit. Their body looks like this, but internally they're not quite there for whatever reason. And so for me, for coaches, that's a really cool, and I love to promote that. I love saying, Key, man, I'm super proud of you, and all the growth that's taken place, and you're a leader now. It ain't just about you. You're a leader now. Guys look up to you. And you're a great example. And look, you started focusing on your teammates' success, having humility, showing up every day with the right mindset, and look how much improvement has taken place. Teammates see that. Certainly he does. That's cool for me. I love that, and I love to promote that. Marcus Stripling, the last couple of weeks, has created more opportunity for himself, and he'd be the first to tell you, man, he was frustrated at times, like a lot of young guys when they're not having the results that they would like, or maybe don't feel like they're being recognized, or they don't have the opportunity. A lot of times it takes you just look yourself in the mirror. Starts with the man in the mirror first, and having great awareness of what can you do to make this situation better, and then show up with a fanatical sense of desperation to do your job, do it well, and quit worrying about somebody patting you on the back. That might happen as a byproduct, but quit worrying about that. We see you, and that's what Marcus has done the last probably 3 or 4 weeks. Started in practice, and now he's having some success. So that's a lot of fun. Again, I love to see those guys in the last year or so of their careers really having their best years and having fun. Taking all these burdens that sometimes it's self-imposed, and then sometimes it's the environment. Maybe it's home, maybe it's family, maybe it's social media, whatever it is, and it's really cool to see that burden off of a guy like Key's shoulders, and he's playing free, and to me that's because he quit worrying about things that he can't control, and so really I think that growth will continue to be evident for all those guys, as long as they stay, again, humble and hungry and driven. But it makes that Monday easier. Everybody will tell you that. For the players, they're excited. We had a great Monday night practice, after a month of camp and 4 weeks of the season. Guys they've been going at it, and again, the workload doesn't get lighter. It stays the same. The workload stays the same, but can you stay focused? That's what happens in college football. You see it. Let's say if all things are even when it comes to injuries, people stay healthy. Why do those teams, they look so good? And that what happened? And I believe that guys they start losing their way for lots of different reasons. They get distracted. And that's the art of coaching. That's the art of motivating. That's the art of development of people, which I believe that's what coaching's all about, developing people. And I challenge the coaches every single day. You continue to develop your position group from a leadership standpoint. You got to be a great example for them. You need to affirm them. You need to call them out when they need to be held accountable. But man, you better celebrate their success as well, because they need that too. And lots of layers of communication, I think, are incredibly important so that you keep guys engaged throughout the course of a tough, challenging season. All the challenges that a season will bring you. But success brings confidence and energy and all those things. And so hopefully that'll continue.
We're going to close back right, Parker.
Yeah, Coach. You mentioned PJ last night at Rudy's. You've had plenty of praise for Peyton in the past. What I'm wondering is, you see two guys that were 5-star prospects come in and have that type of impact as freshmen. How much does that surprise and impress you as a coach versus how much do you look at it from the standpoint of, okay, that's kind of what we expected given how highly regarded those guys were coming in?
Yeah, PJ, he might have for maybe just like a blink of an eye been a 5-star. Y'all had him way on down there for a long time. And so I don't know if you ever talked to PJ's family. They're incredibly humble, amazing people. So he's not gonna, he has no helicopter parents. He went to a program that not a lot of people are necessarily talking about, and where they're not just producing amazing talent every single year. He's a blue-collar kid, and he's super humble, hardworking. Nothing that has happened with PJ has surprised me. And when we went on our first home visit, Coach Chavis and I, and PJ has a brother that got drafted, plays for the Indianapolis Colts now. We played at Northwestern, and he had an excellent combine. Maybe he's 6'3", 280, and ran 4.5, and just freakish. And so we're bragging up PJ. And his dad's like, who is, his mom, I think it was both, but who is PJ? He's done nothing, And then they started bringing up their other son, and like, no, he's got a degree, he's a strong man, he's got this, great body of work, he's getting ready to go to the NFL, and PJ, no, he's done nothing. And right then you're like, oh, we don't love these parents. And, so nothing he's done has surprised me. Again, he's got great work ethic, and he wants to earn everything. Peyton's the same thing. Peyton has been for a very long time a different player in whatever environment. He's had a lot of success, but you got amazing parents, just great people. Amy and Winston are just amazing people. Raised him the right way. He's a great friend, great teammate, great leader, super humble, lets you coach him hard. So he's had success as a result. He can get out of his own way. And you see that with some guys that have been affected negatively by their environment. You don't see it a ton, but it does happen sometimes. Me personally, and I like to promote in the recruiting process, your butt's going to get in the back of the line like everybody else. Them stars, those awards, all the wins, your tackles, your interceptions, your passing yardage, whatever it is, you can't bring it with you. It doesn't travel. And you can bring guts and toughness and commitment and consistency and mindset. Those things will travel, but you're going to get in the back of the line. You're going to earn everything that you get. And those guys embrace that. So I think that's because of that, it has helped them transition, pretty well and have some success. But y'all did have PJ rated down there for a long time. I don't know the timeline, and I just thought I'd take the moment to have some fun. But I'm right. All right. Y'all have a good day.